Family doesn't turn its back, Elijah. Your brother needs your help. That was the first thing I saw when I unlocked my phone that morning. The message glowed against the dark screen, but the words burned deeper than fire. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at it, letting it sink in while the weak Chicago sunlight crept through the blinds, cutting pale lines across my coffee mug. I read it again, then again, hoping I'd misread it, hoping maybe she hadn't said what I thought she did. But I hadn't misread a thing. $3,200. That was the number my mom wanted me to send for my younger brother Caleb's graduation party. It wasn't a question. It wasn't a request. It was a demand, the kind that came with guilt attached. In our family, helping always meant paying, and saying no always meant you were the problem. Before we dive into this story, tell us where in the world you're watching from, and what time it is right now someone near you might be watching. 2. And don't forget to subscribe to support and appreciate the work we do on this channel. My name's Elijah Moore. I'm 33. I fix air conditioning units for a living. It's hard work, not glamorous, but it keeps a roof over our heads. My world isn't fancy. It's bills, repair calls, and small wins that come in the shape of my 5-year-old son, Theo. Theo's the reason I keep moving. He's got wild curls, a laugh that fills the room, and eyes that can make the world seem softer than it is. He's my entire reason. That morning, he was sitting on the floor, cross-legged, driving his toy cars across the kitchen tiles, making little engine sounds under his breath. He had no idea what was going through my head. He had no idea that the message on my phone had cracked something inside me, because just 4 days earlier, Theo had turned 5. And my family, the same people now demanding $3,200, had completely skipped his birthday. I'd invited everyone. My parents, my sister, Grace, my brother, Caleb. I'd texted, called, even offered to pick them up. Everyone said they'd come. No one did. That day, I watched balloons start to sag as the hours dragged on, watched the food go cold, watched Theo's excitement fade as he kept asking, "When's Grandma coming?" I kept saying, "Soon, buddy," but I knew. They weren't coming. By evening, the candles still stood tall on his cake. By night, he sat there staring at them, his voice small when he whispered, "Maybe they forgot." He didn't cry, he didn't complain, he just said it like it was okay. But it wasn't okay. I tucked him in that night, kissed his forehead, and sat in the dark after he fell asleep. The silence hurt more than anything. I stared at the half-deflated balloons, the leftover food, the unopened party favors. Every bit of it felt like proof that the people I'd called family didn't care. So when my mom's text came, "Family doesn't turn, it's back," I couldn't help but laugh. A low, bitter laugh that didn't sound like me. Because in her mind, family meant something I didn't recognize anymore. It meant sacrifice without appreciation. It meant guilt dressed as love. It meant I was supposed to give, even when they gave nothing back. Theo looked up at me then, one of his toy cars in his hand. "Daddy, what's funny?" he asked. "Nothing, buddy," I said, forcing a smile. "Just a silly message." He nodded and went back to his game. But inside, my chest was tight. I wanted to text my mom back right then, tell her everything, how they'd hurt Theo, how they'd made him feel invisible, how I'd spent his birthday pretending it didn't matter. But I didn't, because deep down, I already knew how she'd respond. She'd tell me I was overreacting, that they were busy, that things happen. She'd twist it until somehow I was the bad guy again. That's how it always went. Every time. So I said nothing. I just sat there, watching Theo play on the floor, the morning light shifting across his face. That's when it hit me, the kind of truth that doesn't come easy. Maybe my family hadn't turned their backs just now. Maybe they did it a long time ago. The message on my phone wasn't what broke the morning. It just made me see what was already broken. And even though I didn't know it yet, that moment, that quiet morning with a cup of cold coffee and a 5-year-old on the floor, was the start of something much bigger. The day I stopped begging to be part of a family that never saw us. The day I started choosing peace over guilt. Because if family doesn't turn its back, they already had. The day started perfect. Theo was up before the sun, wearing his paper crown, shouting, "It's my birthday," loud enough to wake the neighbors. I laughed, trying to keep the pancakes from burning. I'd shaped them into dinosaurs, his favorite, chocolate chips for eyes. He danced around the kitchen in his pajamas, singing off-key but full of joy. For a few hours, everything felt right. The kind of morning you wish you could freeze in time. Our apartment was small, but I made it look like a party: balloons on the walls, streamers on the door, a happy birthday Theo banner that took me half the night to hang straight. I even rented a small projector so we could watch The Good Dinosaur later. Theo kept running to the window every few minutes. "Is Grandma coming soon?" "Yeah, buddy," I said. "Any minute now." He grinned, showing the gap where his front tooth had just fallen out. At noon I texted my mom, "You guys on the way?" No reply. At 1, I called. Straight to voicemail. By 3, I texted again. Theo keeps asking, "Everything okay?" Still nothing. But I kept the hope alive, because that's what parents do. You lie to protect your kid's heart. By 5, the food was cold. The cake sat untouched. Theo sat by the window with his toy car, tracing circles on the glass, whispering to himself, "Maybe they're lost." My chest tightened. I said, "They'll come, buddy, promise." But the lie tasted bitter. At 6, I turned on the music, hoping to lift the mood. We danced in the living room, just the two of us. He giggled when I spun him around, his crown slipping sideways. For a few minutes, I forgot about everything. It was just laughter and balloons and the smell of cold pizza. But then the doorbell rang. Theo gasped. "They're here!" He ran full speed to the door, yelling, "Grandma!" I followed, heart racing, but when I opened it, it wasn't them. It was the pizza guy. Theo's face dropped. He turned around slowly, the excitement draining from his eyes. "Maybe they forgot," he whispered. He didn't cry. He didn't pout. He just said it like it was a fact. And that quiet acceptance from a 5-year-old, it broke me in ways I can't explain. I gave the delivery guy a shaky smile, paid him, and closed the door. Then I crouched down beside Theo. "Hey," I said softly. "You know what? Who needs a crowd anyway? We got pizza, cake, and dinosaurs. That's all we need." He looked up at me, small smile creeping back. "Yeah, just us. We ate cold pizza off paper plates. Watched The Good Dinosaur on the projector." He laughed at every silly part. By the time the credits rolled, he was asleep in my lap. I looked at him, his little hand gripping my shirt, his crown sliding down his forehead, and I felt two things at once. Love so strong it hurt, and anger so deep it scared me, because I'd begged my family to show up, and they didn't. Not even a call, not even a text. When I carried Theo to his bed, the room felt too quiet. The leftover balloons drifted in the dark, their shadows stretching across the walls. I sat on the couch staring at the untouched cake. The candles flickered once, then went out. I whispered to no one, "Never again." That was the night I stopped hoping they'd change. The night I realized some people don't forget, they just don't care. The next morning, I packed away the decorations, folded the happy birthday banner and shoved it in the closet. I told myself it didn't matter, but it did. Every streamer I took down felt like tearing off a piece of hope. Later that night, Theo woke up crying. I rushed to his room. He said, "Daddy, maybe next time Grandma will come." I forced a smile. "Maybe, buddy." But in my heart, I knew there wouldn't be a next time. Because that night changed something inside me. I didn't know it yet, but that moment, that empty birthday, was the match. And the message that would come days later, that would be the spark that lit everything on fire. The next morning, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Ping after ping, one notification after another. Mom, Grace, Caleb, even Dad, who barely texted. Every message said the same thing in different words. "Don't embarrass us. You owe your brother. Family means sacrifice." I stared at the screen, watching the messages pile up like a storm I didn't ask for. My thumb hovered over the keyboard, but I didn't type a thing. Instead, I looked around my kitchen at the bills stacked on the counter, at the rent reminder blinking on my laptop, at the empty cereal box Theo had turned into a toy rocket. Reality doesn't care about family guilt. $3,200. That was 2 months of peace for us. Rent, groceries, school fees, survival. I poured coffee that had gone cold hours ago and sat down, breathing slow. I wasn't angry anymore. I was tired. The kind of tired that comes from years of being guilt-tripped into giving more than you had. Then my phone lit up again. A new message from Mom. "Is greater than family doesn't turn its back. You're not like other people, Elijah. You're supposed to help." I stared at it. The same words she'd used the morning before. But this time, something in me snapped quietly, cleanly. I opened my banking app. My balance stared back, a number too small to matter to them, but everything to me. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel guilt. I felt free. I typed a reply. Is greater than "You're right, Mom. Family does mean sacrifice." Then I added one more line. Is greater than "So here's mine." I transferred $2. Just $2. And in the note I wrote, is greater than for Caleb's party. Don't spend it all in one place. When I hit send, it felt like exhaling after holding my breath for years. But peace didn't last long. Within minutes, my phone lit up again, not messages this time, but rage. The group chat exploded. Dad, are you out of your mind? Grace, you're humiliating the family. Caleb, wow, real mature. Then came Mom's voicemail. Her voice sharp, cold, shaking with fury. Is greater than, you've changed, Elijah. Ever. Since that child came along, you've forgotten who you are. Don't bother showing up to the graduation. That child. Not Theo. Not her grandson. Just that child. The words hit harder than I expected. I stood there frozen, phone in hand, trying not to let Theo hear the message replaying in my head. He came running into the room holding a crayon drawing. Daddy, look! It's us! I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. That's beautiful, buddy. He tilted his head. You look sad. Just tired, I said. Daddy's okay. He nodded, then hugged my leg before running off again. The truth was, I wasn't sad, I was done. Done with begging for love that came with conditions. Done pretending we were a family. But I didn't delete the messages. I saved them. Every text, every voicemail. Proof that I wasn't crazy. Proof that this time, I wasn't overreacting. That night, after Theo went to bed, I sat alone in the dark and replayed the voicemail again. The line that echoed over and over, is greater than, ever since that child came along. I realized something. Theo wasn't the reason I'd changed. He was the reason I finally saw things clearly. Family doesn't turn its back. They already had years ago. I should have blocked them right then. But part of me still wanted to believe there was hope. Maybe they'd calm down. Maybe they'd remember Theo's face and feel something. But 2 weeks later, I'd find out the truth, and it would be worse than anything I could have imagined. Because the next time I saw them, they'd be smiling, surrounded by decorations that looked painfully familiar. 2 weeks passed. Not a single call, not one apology, just silence. I woke up early, went to work, fixed air conditioners, came home, made dinner, helped Theo with his little Lego sets, and pretended everything was normal. But the truth is, normal didn't feel normal anymore. It felt heavy, empty. I told myself I didn't care, that I was done with them, that peace was better than fake love. And I almost believed it, until that one night. Theo was asleep. The apartment was quiet, except for the hum of the fridge. I sat on the couch scrolling through my phone, half distracted, just killing time before bed. Then I saw it. A notification. Grace had posted new photos on social media. I almost scrolled past, but then I saw the caption. Is greater than proud of you, Caleb. Couldn't have asked for a better graduation party. My thumb hesitated. I shouldn't have clicked, but I did. And when the pictures opened, my chest went tight. There was my family, Mom, Dad, Grace, Caleb, all smiling, arms around each other, laughing under a banner that said "Congrats, Caleb." At first it was just jealousy, then confusion, then realization, because behind them, hanging on the wall, were my decorations, the same blue and green streamers from Theo's birthday, the same balloon arch I'd spent hours setting up, even the big silver 5 balloon, the one that had half deflated and was still taped at the corner. They'd reused my son's birthday decorations for Caleb's graduation. My heart stopped. I zoomed in on the photo. The paper plates the same dinosaur pattern, the cupcake stand the one Theo picked himself at the dollar store, even the cheap tablecloth with the small rip at the edge. Every single thing was ours. It felt like someone had punched the air out of my lungs. I couldn't move, couldn't think. They hadn't just skipped his birthday. They'd taken what was his the one day meant for him and used it for someone else. It wasn't just disrespect. It was erasure. I kept scrolling, picture after picture. Them smiling, laughing, hugging Caleb. Mom holding a plate of cupcakes Theo never got to share. Grace posing beside the balloon arch with her hand on her hip like nothing was wrong. I stared until my eyes burned, until my phone screen blurred. Then anger hit. Not the loud kind. Not the shouting kind. The quiet kind. The one that sits deep in your chest and starts to grow like fire. I went into the closet, pulled out the old box of decorations. I'd saved the empty banner bag, the leftover napkins, the tape rolls. I held them in my hands like evidence. Because it was evidence. Proof that my family didn't just forget Theo. They erased him. I sat on the floor, surrounded by those bits of paper and plastic, shaking. I kept seeing Theo's face when he said, "Maybe they forgot." He was wrong. They didn't forget. They chose not to care. The next morning, I woke up to a call from Mom. Her name flashed on the screen like a warning. I almost let it ring out, but something inside me said, "Answer it." I picked up. Her voice was sweet, too sweet. "Elijah," she said, like nothing had happened. "We're having a family dinner Sunday night. Just to clear the air. You should come. Bring Theo." I didn't speak. I just listened. She kept talking, her tone calm, rehearsed. "I think we've all said things we didn't mean. It's time to move forward. We're family after all." Family. That word again. I looked over at Theo, sitting on the floor with his crayons, drawing. He looked peaceful, safe. For a second, I thought about saying no, about hanging up and never looking back. But something inside me shifted. If they wanted a family dinner, they were going to get one, but not the way they expected. So I said, "Sure, Mom, we'll be there." Her voice lit up. "Good. I knew you'd come to your senses." I ended the call, staring at my reflection in the dark phone screen. For the first time, I wasn't nervous. I wasn't hurt. I was ready. Because this time, I wasn't going to stay quiet. I wasn't going to explain or beg. This time, they were going to see exactly what they'd done. And when they did, they wouldn't forget it. The restaurant smelled like old memories and fake peace. Warm lights, quiet music, but under it all tension. Mom sat at the head of the table like a judge. Dad stared at his napkin. Caleb scrolled on his phone. Grace smiled like everything was fine. I pulled out a chair for Theo and helped him sit. He swung his legs, humming softly, unaware of the storm. Mom folded her hands. "Elijah," she began, calm but sharp. "We just want to understand. Why did you humiliate us? $2? Really?" I didn't answer. I reached into my jacket and slid an envelope across the table. She frowned, opened it. Inside was a single photo, Theo, alone at his birthday table, candles lit, waiting. On the back, I'd written, "Is greater than. This is what hurt looks like." The silence was heavy. Even the music seemed to stop. Dad shifted, clearing his throat. "You're being dramatic," he said. "You could have called." I looked up slowly. "I did. You didn't answer." Caleb finally set his phone down. "We didn't mean anything by it. It was just bad timing." I laughed once, quiet, bitter. "Bad timing? You had time to take Theo's decorations and use them for your party." Grace froze. "What?" I turned my phone around, showing the photo. Their faces changed. Guilt, shock, denial. Mom whispered, "We just reused what you weren't using. It's not a big deal." Theo looked up from his crayons. "Those were mine?" I took a breath. "Yeah, buddy. They were." He nodded slowly. "It's okay." And somehow, that simple forgiveness from a 5-year-old hurt more than every word they'd said to me. I stood. "You want to know why I sent $2? Because that's what your love is worth to me now, spare change." Mom's face went red. "Don't talk to me like that. Then maybe start acting like a mom," I said. Chairs creaked. Everyone shifted. The waiter appeared, then backed away. I looked at each of them. "You skipped his birthday, took his decorations, and still had the nerve to ask me for money. I'm done paying to belong." I reached down, held Theo's hand. "We're leaving." As I turned, Caleb spoke quietly. "Elijah, wait." I stopped. His voice wasn't angry this time. It cracked a little. "I didn't know," he said. "About the decorations, about the birthday." I didn't respond. "Please," he added. "Just listen to me after this." I looked at him, then at Mom's cold stare, Dad's silence, Grace's fake smile. And for the first time, I saw it clearly. This wasn't family. It was habit. I walked out with Theo, the door shut behind us. Outside, the night air was cold. Theo squeezed my hand. "Daddy," he said softly. "Are they mad?" "No," I said. "They're just lost." He smiled, small and sleepy. "I'm not lost. I'm right here." That line hit deeper than anything. We got into the car. I buckled him in. He held the little toy car Caleb had once given him, spinning its wheels. "Can we still send him a thank you?" he asked. I smiled faintly. "Yeah, we can." But before I started the car, my phone buzzed. A new message. From Caleb. Is greater than I saw the picture again. "I need to tell you something about Mom. Call me before you decide anything." I stared at the screen, heart pounding, because the way he wrote it, "before you decide anything," felt like a warning. I didn't call right away. I sat in the car, phone in hand, staring at Caleb's message. Is greater than, before you decide anything. Theo was asleep in the back seat, his head tilted to the side, toy car still clutched in his hand. I didn't want to wake him. But I also couldn't ignore that text. So I called. Caleb answered on the first ring. His voice was low, different. "Elijah, I'm sorry." "Sorry for what?" I asked. My tone was flat, tired. He sighed. "For everything, but especially for what Mom did." My stomach tightened. "What did she—" There was silence. Then he said it. "She told everyone not to go to Theo's birthday." I froze. "What?" she said. "She wanted the family to focus on my graduation instead. She said your kid already had too much attention, that we'd celebrate Theo another time." I gripped the steering wheel. "Another time?" My voice cracked. "He waited by the window all day, Caleb." "I know," he said. "I didn't realize until later. I thought maybe you didn't invite us." I closed my eyes, jaw tight. "So Mom lied to everyone?" "Yes," he said. "And when you sent the $2, it embarrassed her in front of Dad's side of the family. That's why she called you. It wasn't about money. It was about control." The car was silent except for Theo's soft breathing. I leaned back in my seat, staring at the roof. The anger that had burned so bright was gone, now replaced with something colder. "She used me," I said quietly. "She punished my kid to make a point." Caleb's voice cracked. "I tried to talk to her, Elijah. I really did. But she doesn't listen. She thinks Theo ruined you." That line hit harder than I expected. "Ruined me?" "She thinks after your divorce, you changed, that you got soft, that Theo made you selfish." I laughed, a bitter, shaky sound. "He didn't make me selfish. He made me human." Caleb didn't reply. I could tell he was crying. "Listen," he said finally. "I don't expect you to forgive her, but don't shut me out. I want to do better. I want Theo to know he's got at least one uncle who cares." I nodded slowly, though he couldn't see it. "All right, Caleb. But no more excuses. No more pretending we're a happy family. If you want to be in his life, you show up." "I will," he said. "I promise." I hung up and sat in silence for a long time. Theo stirred in the back seat. "Daddy," he mumbled, half asleep. "Can we go home now?" "Yeah, buddy," I whispered. "We're going home." The drive was quiet. Streetlights slid across his face as we passed each block. He looked peaceful, like he'd never been hurt at all. When we got home, I tucked him into bed and sat beside him for a moment. He opened his eyes just a little. "Are we still family?" "Yeah," I said softly. "We are, just a smaller one now." He smiled. "That's okay. Small families can still be big in love." I brushed his hair back. "You're right, buddy." After he fell asleep, I walked into the kitchen, opened my phone, and deleted the family group chat. Every message, every guilt trip, every memory that made me question my worth, gone. Then I opened a new message, just one contact. "Caleb is greater than we start fresh. For Theo. No one else." He replied almost instantly. "Is greater than deal." I set my phone down and looked around the quiet apartment. The same one where balloons once sagged and laughter echoed for just the two of us. It didn't feel empty anymore. It felt earned. Because sometimes peace doesn't come from fixing what's broken. It comes from knowing what to leave behind. And as I turned off the lights, I whispered to myself, "Is greater than family doesn't turn its back." Then I smiled because I finally knew what that really meant. If this story touched you, subscribe for more real stories that stay with you. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I read every single one.